तनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
मा कुरु धन जन यौवन गर्वं हरति निमेषात् कालः सर्वम्। मायामयमिदमखिलं बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा। दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः। कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशावायुः। काते कान्ता धनगतचिन्ता वा तुलकिं तव नास्ति नियन्ता। त्रिजगति सज्जन संगतिरेका भवति भवार्णवतरणे नौका। जटिलो मुण्डीलुञ्छितकेशः काषायाम्बरबहुकृतवेषः। पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढो ह्युदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेषः। अङ्गं गलितं पलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डम्। वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापिण्डम्। अग्रे वह्निः पृष्ठे भानुः रात्रौ जुगुकसमर्पितजानुः। करतलभिक्षस्तरुतलवासः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापाशः। कुरुते गङ्गासागरगमनं व्रतपरिपालनमथवा दानम्। ज्ञानविहीनः सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन। सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः। सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः। योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा सङ्गरतो वा सङ्गविहीनः। यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव। भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गङ्गाजललवकणिका पीता। सकृदपि येन मुरारिसमर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा।
Do not act vain over wealth, retinue, youth. Time loots all away in a moment. Having understood and realized all this as totally illusory, you enter the state of reality, Brahman. So, we saw in the last class that he is giving three things as a representative of all that a person can be egoistic or vainful about. Wealth refers to all the material things. Youth refers to the pride over one's own body, health, and then retinue refers to the people in the world. So, if you look at it from another angle, all these are a phenomenon which is temporary in our lives. So, we covered what is the pride with youth, which is called as Yavana Garvam in the last class. The body goes through the metamorphic changes, and this is compulsory for all bodies. Since all the faculties, everything is at the peak during youth, there is automatically a pride associated with it that nothing can happen to me. But he says time can loot away in a jiffy. We saw the example of how a person who was at the peak of his health, but suddenly one wave was that all was required, that he was dead after that. Then he talks about dhana, wealth. A person gets vainful about wealth. In fact, in Kali Yuga, it is said that the entire respect, power, everything is there vested in that person or deemed to be vested in the person who commands wealth. And wealth is a phenomenon which, to indicate probably that it's of temporary nature, the coins are minted in a circle that it will roll away. And then he's not satisfied, he makes it into a paper money, it flies away. Now we put it in a card and keep it carefully in the wallet. See, Mahalakshmi is the goddess of wealth. We are going to have Lakshmi Puja soon. Everything auspicious is Mahalakshmi only. But Mahalakshmi is serving at the feet of Mahavishnu. So wealth and higher values always go together. Rather, she will be always there where Vishnu is there, because she is a dutiful wife. Wherever her husband is there, she will never go away from there. But if you try to divorce Vishnu and Lakshmi and try to worship her only separate, then she will be there for a while and go away. So, in this Bhaja Govindam at various places, one of the themes that is indicated is wealth and enjoyment. So, he asks us to be very cautious with reference to wealth. And what you feel as security for yourself in terms of lot of wealth that we have, the security does not come out of that. The security comes out of your unselfish attitude inside. That does not mean you should not plan and keep certain wealth with you. We are not saying that. But by more and more wealth or more and more people around you, if you feel that is going to give you security, then maybe all rich persons should feel secure, which is not the case. Sometimes they feel more insecure. There's a psychology behind it, but they feel more insecure. What can happen to wealth? It can, overnight it can go away, and there are various examples for that, but how prepared are we for that? That is what he is asking us. 98 or so, there was a big crash in Indonesia where the rupee, what is their currency? Rupiah. That crashed, and overnight millionaires became paupers. Very many suicides were reported because the person is totally attached to wealth. One that is shaken when the ground is taken away, they could not hold on to something. That is why in Hindu way of life, when you divinize everything, when you worship wealth as Mahalakshmi, even a person here who is attached to money will be affected. There's no doubt about it. But at least he will say, "Oh God, why are you doing like this?" He will somewhat have a divine relationship, even in, or rather the divine relationship will help him in the time of crisis like that. So, time and again we have seen in this country that a man of wealth who is like indicated as, let's say, a Vaishya, and a man of power who might be a Kshatriya, they go and bow down to a man of knowledge. Always. Knowledge is valued here. It's not that wealth is not valued, but knowledge is valued more. So, if only we give the right value, then we will be able to assess and give the respective value to the other things, like family, wealth, and various other things here. Partition happened, India and Pakistan, as country was sort of bifurcated into two. Overnight, millionaires on one side became refugees and paupers on the other side. It is a matter of just a moment's decision. It is not in our hands. That is the point. It is not that therefore we should be pessimistic about our holding of wealth. Not so. But you should be prepared about for everything. This is the nature of wealth. Since we are on this, there is a way by which it is given as to how to calculate what is the requirement for wealth. See, most of us, when we crave for wealth, we don't put a number there. We don't put a figure there. I want to become as rich as possible. And that richness and that greed never ends. A person who thinks that I want to just make $1 million or say I put it in the bank, that interest is more than enough. Suppose, let's say he says that. When it reaches the 1 million, it is not so. It will be next million or next 10 million or something like that. And if it is done with a proper vision and an aim or aspiration also, it is justified. But simply the mind pitches up something and where we do not know how and where to stop. It's not to stop action, please. It is to give a direction as to our pursuit. That is not being done at all. So if you ask a person, what is your requirement? Generally you ask a person, he will not be able to give a figure. So that, as in any planning, you do in this planning also, then you know how much value and how to relate to wealth also. There are broadly 5 categories in which wealth is required and it is indicated. First is, what is your normal requirement? Let us say you calculate on a monthly basis. What is the normal requirement that is required for you and your family to run the household? A general expenditure, by which time now, having lived in this householder's life for very many years, you will know monthly expenses, which includes, school children fees, this, that. That is I'm talking about, since where time will come, they will grow and stand on their own. Till that time, you have to take care. So all the wealth is about running of your household. It could be food, rent, all those things which are essential in running the household. That is the first and important aspect. Second is, you have to calculate for those who are dependent on you. These dependent persons could be your distant relative or somebody who you have to sort of take care as a duty. It could be your drivers or your servants and others who are working in your household. See, because when you work in a company, let's say, according to rules, there is gratuity and provident fund and retirement pension, annuity, something, all those things are there. So that after you finish the work, it makes sure that something is continuing. But what is the gratuity or pension for these people? So, therefore, whatever happens in their household or something, it is absorbed and you are responsible for it in that way. You cannot say that I am just giving them salary. It is like they are serving you. They are giving their physical work for you. So, you need to just take care of them. Your wealth is required for that also. Third is with reference to any contingencies and emergencies. Unforeseen, of course, we cannot foresee everything, particularly with reference to medical emergencies, which is what can come anytime. So, therefore, what we give as insurance premium, life insurance premium, mediclaim insurance premium, and you can, I do not know, you can just set aside an amount so that is not touched unless otherwise there is a contingency or emergency. Fourth is that you need to set aside some amount as a general saving, which at least for this society in India, we need not say, because saving is a general habit here and in Eastern countries. When I say Eastern countries, generally in China, Japan, everywhere, it is a habit. Unlike the West, where spending is more emphasized. The reason for saving is also that as a person is constantly working, his whole life should not be that, what are you working for? Just to make money and run my household? It cannot run forever like that. Even if you want to pursue your passion, let's say you want to go on a pilgrimage, you are passionate about it, you don't have time or you were not having opportunity, or you wanted to just do yoga or practice Rabindra Sangeet or something after a certain point of time, from morning till evening again going through the routine, mechanical, mundane work will not be of a conducive thing at some point. So you need to just save in such a way that you are not disturbed in your pursuit. That's all. It is not, I'm not talking about just to go for outing or just for a sightseeing on a very end in itself. I'm talking about even a pursuit which is elevating and conducive for you in your higher pursuits. So if you have a saving for that, then that will help in your pursuits like this. Last and most important is you have to set aside some amount for charity. Charity is not the second category that we included, that doesn't come under charity. That's your duty. Whatever you need to take care of your dependents and other things, that's your duty. Don't think that you paid something to your, even the education of that person. That is all part and parcel of your duty. Charity is some unconnected cause to which you have to give, where there is no personal benefit out of it in direct or indirect way, where you do not expect anything in return, and it ought to be given. It could be whatever be your inspiration. It could be for a poor student somewhere, it could be for slum rehabilitation, it could be for a Veda Pathashala, it could be for a temple, it could be for any cause that inspires you. It could be for a cause of Vedanta, it could be for a medical purpose. Anything that inspires you, you have to give charity. In other religions, at least this aspect is sort of emphasized and they have a percentage. So at least mechanically they have to give. 10% goes to church, or this has to go to charity, and they also feel in a way that's enough enough means that's there, and once I have done it, I am relieved. Here, nothing is emphasized like that, because it has to come from deep within you. Even a person who earns even 500 rupees must give 5 rupees as charity. A person who earns much more, he has to give more. What is the percentage? Again, the charity is that you feel the pinch and give. Feel the pinch means, if giving 10,000 rupees out of your pocket, you don't feel anything, then give a little more. Where you feel that pinch? What is your comfortable level? Plus 10%, I would say, as a formula. So charity is something that you feel and give. It should come from this. And charity is an important aspect of your obligatory duty towards the society also. And personally, it's a very elevating spiritual sadhana. 17th chapter of Gita talks about yajna, dana and tapa. So dana is a part of your spiritual sadhana. A true donation, a true charity elevates both the donor and the donee. When you do like this calculation, you can easily arrive at a figure. And that is what you need to work on. Now, suppose even if you arrive at this figure, let's say, I don't know when I am going to accumulate all this figure, then I'll do. Don't worry about it. As you proceed along, everything will come. So, you do simultaneously all activities. So, therefore, you know how your time also can be allotted. So, it is not that a person, let's say, calculates all this and comes to 10 million as a figure. It is not that first, rest of the life, he has to concentrate only on the 10 million. He knows now, by and large, how he performs in his business or office and how it is going to grow. So, that is a parallel thing like that. So, this gives a general idea as to how your mind can be free from money. That's about all. So, if a person is doing like this, or rather he can do like this, when he starts valuing something else more, then he will be able to give right value to the money, right value to the relationship, etc. He will not feel proud about possession of money. That is the point here. The point here is, do not get vain over wealth. And then jana. Jana means people, retinue. Retinue he has always said before. Retinue is that which is based on your possessions. That is what people are generally following you for. We saw in the couple of verses in the 4th, 5th, 6th verses, he is talking about retinue as something which is following your wealth. So I have so much people, don't feel proud about it. Again, it can all go away in a jiffy. See, in the Mark Antony's oration portion of Julius Caesar, Caesar has been killed or assassinated unjustly by Brutus and the co-conspirators. The co-conspirators roped in Brutus also to their side. Otherwise, Brutus was not like that. He was also roped into their side. And then they all conspired and killed Julius Caesar. Post which, outside, the people of Rome are waiting. They don't know what is happening inside. And Brutus comes and gives out the news. And Brutus, being Brutus, he was a great orator. So what he does is, he gives a short speech by which he convinces the entire Roman people that he killed Caesar for the sake of Rome. Not that I loved Caesar any less, but I loved Rome more, he says. And he has an art of public speaking. And so the entire mob is charged against Caesar, whom they had actually loved all along. So Caesar's entire following was changed in a jiffy by Brutus' speech. But as fate would have had it, he made two blunders after that immediately. Mark Antony was taken away from the scene before, because if he was there, he would not have allowed Caesar's assassination to happen. He was taken away and these people killed Caesar. So Mark Antony came to know about this and he was fuming inside. And he is now sort of a single person. All others are on the other side. And then he asks the permission of Brutus, because now Brutus has automatically assumed power. He asked the permission of Brutus and others there to just speak on the funeral of Julius Caesar. Brutus grants permission. That was his mistake. Others are warning, but he says, this will work in our favor because it will create an impression as though we are neutral. After death, he is just doing the honors for his friend. And I have put my case so strongly that these people cannot be changed. This is his thinking. So he gives permission. Second point is, he leaves the scene. He says, not a man should depart, I have work, and he leaves the scene. And the entire mob now is charged against Caesar. So when Antony begins his famous oration, Friends, Romans and Countrymen, and when he starts with that, he senses the mood of the people. Everybody is for Brutus and against Caesar. And this Caesar is a person who had lived all his life for the benefit of the people. He had given them everything. And within about a minute or two, slowly he senses the mood and puts in certain words, certain phrases and certain way by which he is slowly putting doubts in the minds of the people. And within a few minutes, he makes sure that everybody understands the greatness of Caesar and how these villains had conspired against Caesar. And then the oration maybe goes on for some more time, by the end of which the entire mob is charged against Brutus. And he had successfully created a rebellion and a revolt. They are taking fire and other things and started burning all the things that are there. To that extent, the mob was changed. Arati nimeshat kala sarvam. Again, within a moment, within a matter of minutes, who was actually like the entire following was his. In a moment, everything changed. I think there is a political movie based on Indian politics called Rana. Amitabh Bachchan movie. Recently it came. Recently means 3-4 years back maybe. Of course, normal Bollywood type of movie, but it is talking about how a person goes all out to make bombs blast and everything in order to gain power. And he successfully does, then wins elections. About the time that he is going to take up oath as a prime minister, where some videos or other things come out, and they have been privately working on it, talking about his involvement in everything. And so that moment, one moment is there that he is ready to be the prime minister. Next moment he is there that he is going to be in the jail. Why talk about that? We know in Ramayana what happened. Next day morning, Rama is to be coronated and he was ready for coronation, and that is where he is going there. That one moment, the entire thing changed, and next for 14 years, he is just without any people around him, it's been a totally opposite experience he had. Rama being Rama took it in the same spirit, that is the point. But harati nimeshat kalas sarvam. All these things can be taken away from us in a jiffy, just like this. Therefore, having understood this, he says, what you must understand, Maya mayamidam. Maya mayamidam means it is illusory. Illusory means false appearance. What is a false appearance? When a temporary thing appears to you or you think it to be permanent, that is called as false. It is not that it is not there. It is there. But it is there as a fleeting thing. So, like a golden deer in the Ramayana, it is Maya mayamidam. It's not that the golden deer was not there. It was there. It was attractive. Sita got attracted. But it is fleeting. It is not something that is permanent. When we assign a permanent value to something that is temporary, that is Maya mayamidam. Having understood all this as Maya mayamidam, he says, you have to enter what is the Brahma Padam, which is the abode of reality, which is the state of reality, Brahman. So therefore, in other words, the message here is, start pursuing that which is permanent. Brahman alone is permanent. Everything else, if you pursue without the thought of Brahman, it is going to be temporary, illusory. So it is going to be looted away from you in a moment. This Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says in a different way, wherever you place reality without the association of Atma in it, you are sure to be cheated or duped by that object. Meaning, if you consider your wife as real, but not seeing the Atma in her, you are sure to be duped by the wife. You are sure to be duped by your son, by your wealth. Each and everything, the relationship will be utterly spoiled if you are going to place a reality value in itself. So the essential message is that you keep the reality value in Brahman. Then you know exactly how to relate to other things also. Do not act vain over wealth, retinue, youth. Time loots all away in a moment. Having understood and realized all this as totally illusory, you enter the state of reality, Brahman. We'll chant verse 12 twice.
दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशावायुः दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशावायुः
Day and night, dusk and dawn, winter and spring come repeatedly. Time sports, life passes, yet the gust of desire leaves not. This verse explains the importance of time basically. What he said in the previous verse, that in a jiffy, in a moment everything will go. So he is emphasizing the importance of time. Value of time is measured only against your spiritual evolution, nothing else. Otherwise, finally, at the end of it all, you ask this question, what did I spend the time for? What have I really achieved? People talk about, generally, they say, earning wealth at the cost of health, and then they spend the wealth to regain the health. Meaning, you go through a complete circle and come back to the starting point. What have you really achieved? You have gone in circle only like this. Therefore, how is to be time measured effectively? Have I used the time given or allotted to me for the purpose that for which I was born? And that we are born as a human being is meant to utilize the time to go to the next level of consciousness towards self-realization. Kenopanishad is very emphatic in this. He says, Ihachet avedi tata satyam asti, nachedi havetin mahati vinashti. If you realize the truth here, then your life is well lived. It is a life of truth. Nachet, if it is not, mahati vinashti. Mahati vinashti is translated as supremely great loss. Supreme-most of supreme losses. So that life where we have not put in efforts to go in this direction, don't worry about however slow, however steady, whatever be it, but at least set yourself in the right direction and take that step in that direction. We shall be satisfied at the end of the life for that. See, you are not answerable to anybody else except your real self, that's all. So when you put your balance sheet at the end of the day or at the end of the lifetime, you must not regret. You must not say, I should have done this and I should have done that. You are not answerable to anybody else, as I said. It's for you. You will get what is known as a feeling of kritakritya bhava. Kritakritya bhava means having done what you ought to do. A sense of complete fulfillment. See, even on a daily basis, let's say you have jotted a time schedule for yourself. Morning you get up, you have to study, then you go to yoga, then you do your walk, then you take bath, and you have a set pattern of activity according to your work, and everything you put a tick mark, and then you have your prayer, then you have your whatever, evening time with children, and then you go to sleep. If you are able to, let us say, give a tick mark to all the agenda that you have set for the day, what a great feeling that we have in the night before we sleep. Imagine that feeling on a day in and day out basis. If you have, what a feeling that will be. That is a type of life we should aspire for. Now, it may seem very routine, mechanical, where there is no scope for enjoyment. It is not so. This is a person whose program and plan of action is well defined, has actually time for everything. His life is actually an enjoyment also. Along the way, he is going to encounter, not only just encounter, he has the full mind available for him to enjoy those enjoyments. Even as we, let's say in search of enjoyment, go to a party or club or various other things, how available we are there to enjoy it fully. But this person is not like that. Wherever position, whichever place he is, if he is in an Eden Gardens match, he thoroughly enjoys it there. If you are in an office, you thoroughly enjoy the work there. Like that it is. Such must be the feeling that you get when you do this things that you ought to do. So he is only indicating the importance of time, saying that before you realize, day and night, dusk and dawn on a daily basis, and winter and spring on an annual basis, they come repeatedly. See, just go back to your own school days. We thought it was over just now, and you feel that 20 years has passed or 25 years has passed. Exactly the same thing you will have maybe 20 years hence from now. It is just that it was here and it has already gone. That is why he says Kala Kridati. Kala Kridati. Now itself they will plan, puja this time. Both the Sundays are not Vijayadashmi days. Okay. It comes from a Tuesday to Friday, I think, this year. Then if you have a Saturday, then Sunday also. If only you are able to manage one Monday, you are able to get a 10-day holiday. You plan this, that, and before you realize it's over like this. Oh my God. You again look forward to that Monday that is coming after that. So, time sports like this. This is the nature of time. Kala Kridati Gachat Yayuhu. Life passes like this. But then he says, Tadapina Munchati Asha Vayuhu. Along with passage of time, if your desires also categorically go away like that, then there's no issues. That doesn't happen. The gust of desires are there. See, you may not have a strong desire to play with toys now which you played in the childhood. That's correct. But that does not mean that we have transcended that toy desire For the simple reason, of course, this we may say based on theory that in the next Janma, when you get back to the childhood, it is not that last Janma itself I have finished. Now I am going to be like Adi Shankara, who was a childhood prodigy. It is not happening like that. So, how we have transcended that toy desire? We have only transcended the toy desire by substituting with some other toy according to that age. That's about all. We got into a bicycle or we got into a tricycle. We got into some story books or something which is not based on a conscious evolution, based on knowledge, based on enlightenment. It doesn't come. It has come by the phase of life by which you are moving up. That's all. Therefore, it is substitution of one desire with another desire according to the phase in your life. That's about all. So what happens then in the youth or adult where you are having a matured time where those desires, in some form or the other, that gust continues. That is why the pangs that a married couple have for having a child, which is an intense desire, probably same or more when they are wanting to become a grandparent, same thing is there. The same type of thing when they thought, how my duties are all over, it is not. In some form that comes there. And if that grand old lady or man lives a little longer, for the great grandchild it is the same type of thing. So automatically by age, desire doesn't go. This is what he is going to emphasize few verses later, but I am just saying as a thing. So he says the gusts of the desire leaves not. As I said, the important aspect that is the key takeaway point in this verse is that time management, nothing else. It is the time management. And Swamiji says, one of the original books of Swamiji, when I say original, it's not that others are plagiarized or something. Recently, he won a case against plagiarism also. Okay. So, all other things, Vedanta treatise, Bhagavad Gita commentary and Upanishad commentary is, original is Upanishad, he is writing commentary. But this governing business and relationship is one of, you can say, a sort of a original idea where he has translated the themes that are there into practical day-to-day life. Being a corporate man himself, he was able to do. So, what he has talked about as stress management, time management and leadership, all those are worth reading, and particularly those who are in the corporate. Mostly in time management, the ideas that are given as to how we can use certain techniques by which you are not wasting time here or there. Suppose you, whenever you remember, you jot it down. Do not take phone calls in a meeting where you should concentrate in a meeting. Or you put a post-it wherever it's necessary, or you use your Google Calendar to plan it out. All this is correct. But this is talking about the techniques that you must use when in the implementation stage. But time management in its root, like how he goes into the root of stress management, root of value systems, like that if you go into the root of time management, he says there is no such thing as time management. Time management is a misnomer. The word time management, because time which is 24 hours for all, where he says Kala Kridati, it plays, it sports with you, how can you manage time? If you have to manage time, I think in a movie came, I don't know, Superman or some movie, right? Where he has to go back a few days to change an event. So with the Superman power, what does he do?
Rotates the earth back.
He rotates the earth back, or he rotates the earth back for the day to pass, or if you want to go back by years, you have to revolve the earth around. Very fancy thing. So you have to arrest the earth's movement, or you have to arrest the sun's functioning if you have to arrest time. There is a story in the Puranas, I think Nalayini. The curse or the fate of her husband was that he would die at the sunrise of a particular day. With her tapas, she stopped the sunrise. That is also a story. With a Superman does it with his power, she does it with her power, which is tapas. It's a story. So if you have to arrest time, you have to arrest the movement of earth, or deal with sunlight. It is how is it possible? So time management is not managing time per se. It is managing your work in the time. So time management is work management. It is not related to the quantum of the work again. If it is related to the quantum of the work, then somebody who is responsible for 500 or 5,000 rupee business, whatever time he comes home, let's say 5 o'clock, 50,000 rupee business will come at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Then 5 lakh business person should come at 8 o'clock. 5 crore business fellow will midnight and next person will never come home. It doesn't happen like that. What happens is everybody comes late. Even a pawn shop person to a big industrialist, all of them come late. That means what? All of them are not able to manage whatever is their work in the time that is available. So therefore it is essentially work management. And then he says work management is nothing but self-management. So time management is nothing but work management. Work management is nothing but managing yourself. That's all. So you need to even assess how many people are required, what is the thing that is required, how to do as a team, everything I cannot do by myself. All this comes in the planning stage. In fact, most of the issue is sorted out if we are able to plan well before starting the execution. That requires patience, objectivity and intellect, some sort of a foresight. So for which Swamiji gives a solution which may appear theoretical, but it has worked practical, at least in his life. So we are sure. You have to plan your whole life project backwards. That is the right way. From now till your death, calculate and put a figure there also. You know how, according to your family, your genes, etc., what is the average lifespan. Suppose you say up to 85 is the average and now you are 50, 35 years you have. You have to plan for 35 years. And then there is a lot of other intermediary things that he has said how you must do. Usually when you do like this, you must have a lifetime goal or a vision, which is usually one project. That project is something very deep and great, useful for the society. That which is in your Swadharma. And that which is to be achieved is a goal in the world. See, we can simply say our goal is self-development or self-realization. That's correct, but that's a very vague term as far as your actual planning and programming is concerned. With self-development as the base, you have to have a solid goal in the world. So if somebody asks you, what are you trying to achieve in life? You can't say, I am trying to self-develop myself or develop myself. That cannot be an answer. Suppose he say, I am writing this books and this is the thing. Then that is a project. I am trying to put up an industry by which it is going to produce this amount of product and this amount of employment. Then that's a project. Or you say that I want to become a chairman of this company by which time, that's a project. Of course, that's a personal thing, but that's a project. Like that, we have to allot some goal. Usually, when a man has a purpose or vision, it's 1, maximum 2. That type of a thing that you set out to achieve, by which time you want to achieve that, work backwards from that point till now as to what are the intermediary steps and milestones that you need to achieve at various points of time. So if you need to achieve that at the end of 35 years, next 20 years at the end of it, what you have to achieve? Next 10 years, next 5 years, then next 1 year, then next 1 month. Like that it has to be planned backward. Most of us in the world don't plan. There's no planning because the course of life is set in motion by what is decided by the herd instinct of the family or society. You have to go to school, then you have to go to college, then you have to get a job, then you have to marry, then you have to... This is a thing that is set and we don't seem to question, we don't seem to, know why we are doing all these things, but we are just set in motion. This is herd instinct. Most people are like that all over the world. Some people who have some ambition or they plan, most of them who plan, they plan forwards. They plan forwards means, this year I have to finish this, I have to achieve this. Next year I have to do this, like that. And beyond which, the vision actually goes this way. Rather it diverges. When it diverges, you are not very clear beyond a point what you must do. In other words, having achieved, suppose you say, I want to finish this 1 million, this is my target. Okay, that is definitely better than not planning. You plan something and you short-term thing you achieve. After 1 million, what? What to do? It could be 2 million or it is 10 million. We do not know, or what direction it is going to take. We do not know. So therefore, forward planning beyond a point goes divergent. Backward planning always converges to a point. That is far better. It converges here So from there you can work backwards and try to achieve what you have to do now. So up till this point it will come. And you can go through that portion. He says, what are the factors that you take into consideration? What are the things which can be in your control? What are the things that there are certain things which cannot be in your control? How do you provide for it? And how do you allot enough time for everything? And then you go about meticulously planning and programming for the whole thing. So the entire aspect of time management is working backwards. If we have that, you have a purposeful life. See, it is better to keep a target and even little bit fall short of the target or fail to even achieve the target, but it's better to have the target rather than not having any target at all. Swami Chinmayananda says, keep your ideal so high that you must not be able to achieve it. What it means is, you have to constantly keep striving and striving and striving. That's what he means. He doesn't mean to be pessimistic or discouraging. He says, you say, I want to achieve this and you achieve it. Then what is the big deal? You keep it so high that you are able to constantly push yourself for it. This is called as a lifetime vision for blessed are those people who are able to have such a goal and work. Now the question arises, most people in the world and maybe majority who are even in touch with this knowledge like this may still not be able to visualize. As I said, it is not coming out of your intellect thinking alone what is the project of life. It should come from the depth of your personality as a passion and then get converted into a goal by the intellect. You must feel, rather you will be moved by a goal rather than fix a goal. Fixing a goal is only specifying the numbers there. That is the role of the intellect. But the whole thing comes out of a great movement inside. See, a person who is moved by, somebody told me now recently, a school principal whom we met, she said, they called a person to speak to the children who is walking from place to place, creating awareness about freeing children from begging at a young age, which is a very sad thing. And some are doing it, using the children and doing it as a big racket, that is also there. And some, let us say, are genuinely begging. Even then, it's a very, very sad thing. What is the solution and remedy for it and how we must do? But at least there must be an awareness created in everybody's mind that we need to collectively work towards not making this happen. Now, this is a noble thing that is doing. Unless otherwise he is moved by some child or something which has touched his heart directly, he will not be inspired to do this. So, the whole thing is triggering from your heart. And then how to go about doing it, intellect says. And that is where the role of intellect must be very precise, calculative, and it is going to plan. All those things come there. So therefore, if we are able to fix like that and do, it's well and good. But many people, if they are not able to, but still if they want to utilize their time properly, the second option, and I would say easy option, equally best option is only one small catch there. You have to surrender yourself completely to some person, some organization, something which you feel is doing the right thing and utilizing their resources, time, everything properly. So in other words, you substitute their vision as your vision. You are able to surrender and not have a agenda of your own. All that you need to do is whatever is the instruction given, you have to do. All your headache is transferred there in that sense. But here, your intellect has to finally surrender. Your mind has to finally surrender. That decision that you have to take, that is the thing. And that has to be complete. There is no half measures here. Now, when will I meet a Lord Krishna type of a person and surrender? Don't worry about it. You have to surrender to somebody who is above your intellect, who you think is purposeful at this level. By God's grace, if you overtake him, you will find some other person. Don't worry about it. So, it is not to wait till meeting an enlightened master. No, I will only wait till that. Don't worry. You have to just at your level, because for a LKG student it need not wait that a PhD should come and teach me. 5th standard boy is enough. For the LKG student, 5th standard boy, if he teaches ABCD, that's good enough. When it grows and grows, it is going to automatically get better and better teachers. So this person, 5th standard boy himself, is going to grow also. So not to worry about at all. So therefore, you need to surrender and take instructions and implicitly follow it. That is one way. Once you do that, you will find actually very light within you. The only issue is, in Vedanta is, we constantly say develop your intellect, think always, decide for yourself. When the intellect is developing this way and the mind to surrender completely, both don't seem to happen coincidentally. It will not. Mind will resist. And the intellect will say, I know that person, he is not full, or something like that. That is where the test comes. The test of surrender is not just when you are ignorant. The test of surrender is when you think you know. That is there. So to some person, because if you have a disease, some doctor you have to surrender. You cannot say this doctor is not best, you can never then get the disease cured. You have to get fixated in some doctor or the other. You can maybe take a tour and find out who is the best doctor. But you have to choose a doctor, and having chosen the doctor, you have to surrender and eat his medicines without question. You can go for allopathy, you can go for naturopathy or homeopathy, any pathy. But that pathy should be fixed. That sort of a thing. It is like that, it is fixed. That fixation is important. That fixation then goes on to help you in fixation of a guru, fixation of the Lord itself. Because ultimately what we are aiming to get fixated in the self, whether it is meditation, whether it is any sadhana, it is going to get that fixation. That fixation has to start from your karma itself. Goal, project in the lifetime, everything is fixation. So if we are able to do like this, we are not bothered about wasting time, and the time will be well spent. So the whole idea is to work backwards and surrender ourselves to somebody and just keep on working with their instructions. Yes, sir.
Sir, the difference, two strategies we discussed about setting a goal. One is a goal, one is what Swami Chinmayan says, set such a high goal that you can never achieve. Or the other is a goal which is a reachable goal, what we plan to. What about setting sort of periodic goals and then, achieving, when you are about to achieve something, then expand the goal? Can that not be the right approach, which is a sort of better of both of them?
See, first thing is, what Swami Chinmayananda said, you have to take it figuratively, in the sense, he says your vision must go to that height. In other words, don't be complacent in conquering smaller peaks. You must go to Mount Everest. That's what he is trying to say. Okay. And ideally, when we start about achieving something with inspiration, inspiration comes from a higher goal or a higher target only. But if it is too high a target, the inspiration will be very high, but it may be short-lived also. So therefore, you keep a realistic target as the correct thing, so that you are constant in your pursuit, consistent in your pursuit. But the point that you are talking about is what precisely backward planning is all about. So when you say, having achieved this and expanding to the next vision, that if you are able to visualize and put it in the reverse order, that is, so see, suppose, I'll tell you, let's say Swamiji meant to write 7 books and he calculated his age to be around 72, 73. Till that point, sort of he gave himself time, or rather 65, I don't know. Then by which time he had to finish 7 books, which he finished by 72, 73, which he said, I overshot by 8 years. But that doesn't matter, because various things as you write, then only you will know various things that will come. It is not that 100% complete foresight of the future, then you have to be Ishvara only to do that. That sort of a thing doesn't happen. But then what happens, Vedanta Treatise, which is the main book, when it is completed, you will find that all other books becomes little easy to write. He is now trained as author also. And all the entire thought process and the subject matter is also sort of well covered. So now it's a matter of quickly putting the verses, commentary like that it is. So Vedanta treatise probably he gave the first 20 years time or something, for which 10 years or 15 years is collecting the material and various things and putting them in order and study, research, getting clarity, all those things are there. Maybe I am saying, this may not apply to Swamiji, maybe 5 years you have to even say that I need to quickly work, gather enough finances so that they don't bother me, or settle the wife and children in such a way that I am not bothered by their demands or something. That also comes here. Now, when you talk about expanding the vision as you go a little high and then opening it up, the very purpose, let's say I want to run a factory now, or I want to earn $1 million now. For what if that question is not there? On what basis will we try to expand? It is not trying to do something better or trying to give little more employment or nothing like that. A vision doesn't happen like that. A vision happens with a long-term sight and planning. And on that basis, you have to try and expand. So, when you thought the first 5 years, I have to just get the loan and get the basic thing started. That might even take 6 years. That's okay. Based on your planning, it's a little bit went. But it is better to go by that deal, finish. And then you say, you had said that repayment of all these things should be over by next 4 years. Something like that. That should be the next target. So, what you tend to achieve and go a little beyond or expanding is precisely what will happen when you work backwards. It is a tough task because we need to even set a lot of time, effort and energy to do about it, where intellectual fatigue actually sets in. And then maybe you have to even take into account consulting with a superior intellect. Maybe you have to, spend long hours on it, but it is really worth it. Day and night, dusk and dawn, winter and spring come repeatedly. Time sports. Life passes, yet the gust of desire leaves not. Without planning, we feel finally, I'll do this. But what about the self-realization can wait? Just after this desire. That's why he says desire, gust of desire leaves not. One desire after the other, continuously it goes. But then when you work for a project, then what happens to my family? Who will take care of the wife? Who will take care of other things? He says, don't worry about it. Next verse directly addresses that only. Verse 13 we'll chant twice.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
So in Bhakti, can you even leave the planning on the God?
Yeah, if that's what surrender means, Bhakti only.
Yeah, so then even you just I don't plan anything, I leave even the planning only.
Only thing is, you must not do Bhakti Yoga. You must become a Bhakta. There's a difference between that.
Please elaborate on that.
That means you don't have any will of your own. You don't have any will. Each and everything that happens is His will. You have to completely accept that and do nothing. Actually do nothing. Not do anything. He says, Yoga Kshemam Mahamiham. Your yoga and Kshema, I will take care. You just maybe sing His name and keep quiet in a place. That's all. If you are in that stage. So, to the extent that you do Bhakti, to that extent He relates. Bhakti, surrender is nothing but Bhakti only. Ultimate Bhakti is surrender only. So, that's what we said. If you are able to completely surrender, even in your area of action, that is worshipping through action. It is not different from Bhakti. Whatever we do in the spiritual path cannot be divorced from Bhakti. Bhakti runs in and through all these activities.
So, but then I remember once we were traveling together when I spoke to you about Bhakti, then you made a statement that Bhakti, you have to have a little knowledge also, otherwise you become a bit of fanatic.
That's what we mean by doing Bhakti Yoga, doing Jnana Yoga and doing Karma Yoga. Here it's all in the doing mode now. We are in the active mode now. I am talking about a mode where you are absorbed and you are that. You have become that. When you become that, you don't have a sankalpa of your own. Sankalpa means that I have to do this and I have to do that in that sort of a sankalpa. You only align yourself with His sankalpa and whatever happens, happens. You accept. Are you in that position now? If you are in that position, whatever has happened to, let us say, the greatest of bhaktas, that will happen to you also. So, in Gita, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tataiva vajamiham. Howsoever people approach me, I satisfy them in those ways, in those means. If a person approaches me with 25% bhakti, I grant him that much of solace and comfort. But there are some who are absolutely surrendered and 100%. I take care of them fully. So it is not that God is partial. He is only reciprocating what you are showing as the emotion towards him. If somebody turns his face and goes away that side, he says, what can I do? It is not for as him as a very uncompassionate, hard-hearted person. It is just that he will make everything conducive again for him to turn around. Otherwise, there will not be any justification in the sadhana of one person and the other person. Rather, when a person is wanting really full of wealth and desire and other enjoyments in the life, if anybody is going to enforce moksha upon you, now you yourself will resist. You will not want it. Even though we will have all the value for this because of this knowledge, it's all here. It will not happen. You will say, sir, let me still finish my daughter's marriage, then you give me more. Like that only you will say. So then he says, okay, you wanted that, right? I am dealing with you in that way only. So all the things, samsara that is coming in and through with all those things is what you have asked for, that he is providing. That is based on, that is the way in which you relate to God and he relates to you. So it works 100% fine. Bhakti runs through all the activity. Verse 13, we'll chant once.
काते कान्ता धनगत चिन्ता वातुल किं तव नास्ति नियन्ता त्रिजगति सज्जन संगतिरेका भवति भवार्णवतरणे नौका काते कान्ता धनगत चिन्ता वातुल किं तव नास्ति नियन्ता त्रिजगति सज्जन संगतिरेका भवति भवार्णवतरणे नौका.
What is the worry over your wife, wealth, O distracted one? Is there not for you the ordainer? In the three worlds, association with the good alone becomes the boat to cross the sea of existence. Vatula means a deluded one, a distracted person. Vatula is addressed because you keep worrying without a cause. We keep worrying in the sense that I am responsible for everything. So he is saying, what are you really worried about? What are you really big deal responsible for? A person was traveling on a horse and the horse was going fine. He was also carrying a bundle of grass, big bundle of grass which he had cut. He had put it on the horse and he is also traveling on the horse. As the horse was going along, he suddenly felt that the poor animal is carrying too much and going, so I will ease the load of the horse. So he put the bundle on his head now, as he is sitting on the horse. As stupid as that. The horse is carrying everything. Okay, anyway, the horse is carrying everything. In this process, what he has done, he has added weight on himself. Who is it that is making everything happen here? Who is carrying the entire responsibility of the whole universe and running through? We really do not know, but it's functioning meticulously. But no, I have to do it and you put some upon yourself. It is exactly the same way as the person who is on the horse here. So he is only asking us to examine this, which maybe we will continue and discuss in detail in the next class. Think about it. Think about anything that you worry about. What is it there that you really worry about? If you break it down to pieces, there is actually nothing to worry. You yourself will come to the conclusion. But the mind, in a way, within quotes, feels satisfied only it is worrying. There are some people who say, hey, you are not worried? What will others think? Oh, you are like some tragedy happened. Why you are not crying? Something like that. You have to have that worry. If you are not worrying, you are not treated as a normal person. So then we try to gather all these emotions as we go along, and when we become as a normal person in the world. Actually, all over the world it is abnormality only. So he says, break the things and see, per se there's nothing to worry. There are two things in life. Certain things are under your control, certain things are not in your control. That which is under your control, take steps to control it. That's all. That which is not in your control, accept it as it is. That's all. There is no need to worry. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityuhu dhruvam janma mrityasya. We just studied in second chapter. There is certainly a death for every birth and birth for every death. Tasmat apariharyate natvam shochitum arhasi. Therefore, over things where there is no parihara, what is the grief? What is the grief in these? This is a cycle. No. Okay, then if your wish is granted, he should not die or something. Let's assume if he lives till 150 years or 200 years, you yourself will pray for the death. So, at one moment, whatever your mind says, you go by that. Then, what is the big deal? Then you are running the universe or what? Everything should happen according to your will. You really do not understand how the total universe functions. What is there to worry about? There's really nothing to worry about. It is unnecessary pressure that you create for yourself because of the worry. More important, because of that worry, you create pressures on others also, who you seem to be caring about and well-wisher and other things like that. In fact, if you really love them and if you really want to help them, you should really stop worrying and do the right thing, whatever is the best at that point of time. There's a beautiful poem on this which we'll take in the next class, The Olive Tree. We'll conclude with the bhajans.
Om Poornam Adha Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.